an if statement. Okay, this short video I'll show you how to do an if statement. For this I'm going to use an example where we've got like quite a number of orders from, say, like store cards, where you can see we've got lots of different values. I've got way over 100 in there, and I'm just going to show you how we can use an if statement to help us identify certain conditions, and we can decide what we want to do if that condition is true, and we can also tell it to do something different if that condition was not true. And that's exactly what an if statement does. So for this example, I'm going to use these values, and we're going to have two different statements. So the first one will show you a simple if statement, where we're going to identify whether an order was over £75, and we'll offer that customer £10 off their next purchase. So I'll start with that one first. So I'm going to go to column C, where I've just labelled it as discount for part A, and then here I'll start by typing in the word equals if, because that's how the function works. It's just literally equals to tell it you're doing a function or a formula, and then the name of the function. So this one's known as an if statement. You can see that the spreadsheet tries to give you three things that it's looking for. It wants to know what is the logical test, as it calls it. Think of that as what is the condition that I'm looking for. Well, here I want to see whether the value of the order, and that's located in B3, is actually more than £75. Okay, if it is, I want to offer that person £10 off. So I could literally type in, right, or a £10 voucher, say, so if I say it that way, I can literally type in within double quotes, because we're just printing a statement out, £10 voucher. If they weren't getting the £10 voucher, they would actually get nothing. Well, what we could do is we could say that they were given no offer. Okay, and again, put that in double quotes, and then we can put the last bracket in, and that should then give us either one of two words: the £10 voucher if it's over £75, or the words no offer if it isn't. So I'll just do that, and we can see that that first one wasn't given the offer. If I then take that if statement, because we want to apply it to everybody, and I'm going to copy it down, so I'm just going to pick up the copy tool from the corner, take that all the way down to the bottom of my list, and you can see, if we just move a bit slower, that where appropriate, so for the fourth one down, that one was over £75, and it's picked up that they get a £10 voucher. Now again, stylistically, you could change this slightly. So because we've got words in there, you might want it in such a way that you just you want to see a blank against those that haven't been given an offer. Well, the easy way of doing that is just to get rid of the words no offer and replace it literally by a blank space, but we still have to have our double quotes to tell it that we're giving it a blank space. Go to the end of that, press return. Again, it's done it for that first one, and of course I'll just copy that down again to repeat it throughout, and you can see that that's a bit more easily identified. For part B, we're going to have to do something a little bit more complicated, so we have to think through the logic first. In this case, what we want, we're really looking for three different conditions. First, if it's over £100, we want them to get £15 off. If it's over £75, £10 off. If it's neither of those, nothing at all. So what we can actually do is use an if statement inside of an if statement as one of the conditions. So to show you this in practice, I'll just go to where I've put a label in for part B, where we've got the discount there. Right, so I'm just in cell D3, and we start it in a way exactly the same as before. We just put equals in, followed by the word if for the if statement, and open the first bracket. So I'm going to do it in a particular order. I'm going to start with the £100 because it makes more sense to look at that one first before the £75. So I'm just going to say the order value. So the first one happens to be in B3. Check to see whether that is greater than 100, and then put my comma in to say I've finished that condition part. Now if this is true, then like before, I'm going to tell it that we want to print the word, but in this case I'm going to give it a £15 voucher, so I shall just type that in and then finish my double quote for the statement and do a comma. And now if it's false, we want it to look for a second condition, so we would start again with another if statement. So I just type in the word if, open the bracket, and we get the same arguments again. So now we'll move down the step to actually have a look and see whether that order value in B3 is greater than £75. If that is, then this time they would get the £10 voucher. So we'll just type that in, finish my quote, comma, to say that's true. So we've now got looking for the £100, the £75, and basically at the end, if neither of those is correct, we don't want to offer anything. So a bit like before, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to print a blank space just to make it a bit clearer on the screen. I then need to finish off my statements by filling in the missing brackets. So we need one bracket for the first if statement, and the spreadsheet tries to tell you that by showing you those in green. And then I've got to put a second closed bracket in to match up with the very first if statement at the beginning. And hopefully, if I haven't made any silly typing errors, if I press return, for the first one, just got a blank because it isn't over £75 and it also isn't over £100. But what I can do, if I click on the cell, you can see that it has actually got the formula in there. It's doing the correct thing by printing out a space. So we just need to check whether it's going to work for the £75 and £100. So I shall just copy that down for the whole list that we've got. So at the end there, and you can see that yes, it's picked up. Right at the bottom, we happen to have a few that were over £100, and it's picked up that they get £15 off. And then we've also got a couple that were over £75, and it's picked up as them having £10 off. So if I just click away, go back up to the top, and that is how you would actually use if statements and an if statement within an if statement for any more complicated examples.